Commissioners and the county judge are in attendance. All legal notices have been posted and the court is duly called. Is there a motion to open court?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bailiff will open court, please.
Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the January 2011 term with the Honorable Clay Lewis Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon, Commissioner. I was just bowing my head getting ready to pray, y'all. Commissioner can't. Okay. That's cool. That's hard, man.
Judge and
Commissioner Cantrell has will introduce our guest preacher today, our guest.
Judge and Commissioners, our pastor this morning was David Hill from Eastern Hills Baptist Church. He called this morning and said he was ill, so we're having our resident pastor, Zach Thompson, come and give our invocation. And we appreciate
Takes
that.
care of all our ills.
That's right. All right, Judge, Commissioner, let us pray. Lord, in good times and in difficult times, we want to say thank you. Thank you for your mercy and your grace as we proceed this morning with Commissioners Court. Grant us wisdom and knowledge. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah.
May have to hire him every week.
Perfect.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
Oh.
Come on, man. I just couldn't help it, Greg. I'm sorry.
That's a good.
The Commissioner President, I start rolling around the floor. Y'all just keep the meeting going, right?
Don't forget mics and camera running.
Welcome to this meeting of the Dallas County Commissioners Court. We'll consider items on our official agenda, then we'll recess for our informal work session, then we'll hear from registered speakers, after which time we'll convene in a closed session to consider matters as allowed by law. We have 3 resolutions today. The first will be presented by Commissioner Dickey. Commissioner Dickey?
Yes, thank you, Judge. And I'd like to ask the Friends of the North Haven Trail to come forward. And I'm going to read this resolution, and then I would like to introduce you all. Whereas the northern part of Dallas County contains fewer open areas than any other part of the county, and whereas the most accessible land areas to construct pedestrian trails has long been easements, rail lines, and under freeways, necessitating much creativity on the part of urban planners. And Dallas County believes that trail connectivity is extremely important for not only the use of trails for recreational purposes, but to provide avenues for alternative forms of transportation, and in helping meet our region's clean air objectives. And whereas the connection of the North Haven Trail to the White Rock Creek Trail will facilitate vital links to 2 other trails, the Cottonwood Creek Trail and the future Veloway, and the construction and connection of the North Haven Trail will fulfill a need for improved bicycle pedestrian connectivity in north central Dallas and begin forming an important east-west route identified on the COG Regional VeloWeb, crossing a majority of northern Dallas. And whereas the eventual junction of these trails, all within less than 1 mile of each other, has been referred to as the Low Five, because it will provide users with 5 directions of non-motorized travel as an alternative to motorized traffic on the nearby High Five, that's US 75 and I-635 highway interchange. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby commend and encourage further cooperation between Dallas County Public Works, the City of Dallas Park and Recreation and Public Works Departments with regard to cooperative efforts in constructing and connecting trails in Dallas County. Further particular recognition must be directed to the 2 councilwomen from the northern part of Dallas County, my friends Linda Coop of District 11 and Ann Margolin of District 13, who have been instrumental in encouraging the necessary cooperation with county officials to give Dallas County residents an urban trail plan that will benefit citizens for years to come. And I so move.
Second.
Thank you. I would like to introduce...
All those in favor?
Aye. I would like to say that Linda Coop and Ann Margolin and I got together more than a year ago and talked about how we could mutually work together to enhance the trails. And I'm so proud that of the folks who have come forth. First, we have Lee Kleinman, who is Linda Coop's appointment to the Dallas Park and Recreation Board. We've got Gwen Holmes, who is the treasurer of the Friends of the North Haven Trail, and the president of the Friends of North Haven Trail, Warren Parham, and board member Martha Parks. We have also from the City of Dallas, we have Michael Hellman, Jared White of the Dallas Parks and Recreation Department, and also Max Calhammer, who is the bike plan coordinator that's been started for the City of Dallas. And I wanted to ask you, do you have any comments or remarks?
Yes. Thank you very much, Commissioner Dickey, and I want to thank the entire Commissioners Court for the support of this program and the county as well for both your moral support and especially for your financial support. This trail is a very interesting component to the transportation picture in the city of Dallas. In addition to exercise and recreation opportunities for North Dallas, it connects a corridor between Central Expressway and Stemmons for transportation options. Just to give you an idea where it's going, it connects the red line to the green line through 2 DART stations. It connects 12 churches, 5 schools, 2 community centers, a series of city parks, and a series of shopping centers, giving our community, the community of Dallas at large, and especially North Dallas, non-motorized options for getting to all these things along this 10-mile corridor. So thank you very much for your continued support, and we look forward to continuing to work in a partnership with you in the future.
Well, I appreciate the City of Dallas and Friends of the North Haven Trail. Thank you for coming down this morning.
Congratulations.
And before we get to our next resolution, I want to commend Commissioner Dickey for spearheading these efforts for our Commissioners Court and for her vision on these hike and bike trails. They not only add to the quality of life of our residents, but they increase property values around the trails, and we appreciate your vision and your work in that regard. Our next resolution will be read by Commissioner John Willie Price.
Thank you, Judge. Jamie Fitchko and her daughter, and Mr. Thompson, and that whole delegation. Ms. Brown, all of those who with her come forward. Going into this 27th year, I don't know of any program that I've been more proud of than this particular program here. All of the commissioners have before them the history of the Dallas County Home Loan Counseling Center. And upon Jamie's retirement, I thought it's only appropriate. Commissioner Jim Jackson and I came up with this about, let's say, about 24 years ago. And at that particular time, I think we were commissioned by the court to kind of go forward and see how we could pan it out. As such, we were able to talk a lady by the name of Billy Richards out of retirement, who had retired from Dallas Federal Savings and Loan, and to come and to talk about helping us create this program. We knew home ownership was a staple, as Judge Jenkins just said, of what goes on in a community as we talk about tax bases, as we talk about growing that tax base. And so we created the Dallas County Home Loan Counseling Center. If my colleagues will show that the very next year, we had 330 houses in the pipeline. Through last year, we got 3,335. Also, this program has become the model for the United States in terms of home loan counseling. It's emulated by all of the various banking centers and emulated, and the program just speaks volumes. But it speaks volumes not only to the vision, but the fact that when Billy left, she left Jamie left the program and Jamie in charge, and Jamie has taken it to another level. And as such, I understand from Mr. Thompson that Jamie has cultivated her succession plan, an individual, Joyce Brown, who will carry on. And so this resolution basically just says, whereas Jamie Fitchko was first employed by Dallas County Health and Human Services Department in 1989 as a home loan counselor in the Home Loan Counseling Center, and was promoted to a Home Loan Counseling Center manager in 1999, 10 years later. And whereas Jamie Fitchko has an extensive background in housing programs and property management, and has been heavily involved in the housing field through her affiliations with the Texas NARO, the Texas Federation of Housing Counselors, the Dallas Home of Your Own HOYO Coalition, the Fannie Mae Partnership Office Advisory Council, LifeNet Incorporated and their board of directors, the American Indian Arts Council of Dallas Incorporated, the Dallas Housing Authority Roseland Home Task Force, and the Dallas Affordable Housing Coalition. And whereas Jamie Fitchko earned her BA in Sociology at Texas Women University in 1975, and her MA in Social Work from the University of Texas in Arlington in 1993. And whereas Jamie Fitchko has been a dedicated, loyal, and committed employee and has served as an intricate part of the Dallas County Health and Human Services team, now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby congratulate Jamie Fitchko on her retirement from 22 years of dedicated and exemplary service to the residents of Dallas County while serving in the Home Loan Counseling Center of Dallas County Health and Human Services. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Before you say something, Jamie, I want Mr. Thompson to say, because we had to drag you down here. So,
I really,
yeah, I know.
I've been down here enough in 22 years. I thought I could get out
I
with
recognize
it. Zach lies, so don't believe it.
But two things. When we look at a veteran of Dallas County, we're losing a great resource in Jamie Fitchko. Her commitment and compassion to home ownership is par excellence. She has made, in this county, home ownership a priority, and it has really resonated throughout our community. One particular program that she invited me to go see was the Hoyer program, where we were able to connect individuals with disabilities with home ownership. Mm-hmm. And I was so touched by we're talking about when people really were talking about disabilities and connecting in the home. She was already involved in ensuring that home builders were sensitive to those residents who had a disability. So while it's a great law, she's done a great job in training her staff. And above all, I'm going to really miss her being there day in and day out, and her commitment to Dallas County. She saved resources for Dallas County because she brings her timesheets where it's front and back, so we don't have to use extra paper as well. So before there was even a discussion about budget cuts, Jamie was already on board. Thank you, Jamie.
Jamie.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Commissioners Court. We have enjoyed the full support over our 22 years of court. Of course, our biggest supporters, Jim Jackson and Commissioner Price. Commissioner Cantrell's been here from the first with us, too. And the new Dr. Garcia and Judge Jenkins, I hope you enjoy the 20-year report. It's going to take you historically from where we began to where we are now. And it's been quite a ride. And we're very pleased with what we've been able to create for the lower-income families in Dallas County and promote home ownership. And I know Joyce will take us even to another level. So thank you. I appreciate it. And having a good boss, in fact, I think the best boss in the world, has made it all that much easier.
You want to introduce your husband's daughter? I'm sorry. Couldn't do that.
This is my artist daughter, Jill Brown. football game.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my baby girl. And this is Joyce Brown, who will be taking my place and will do a wonderful job. So there we are.
We didn't get a chance to talk about, Jamie and I serve at the pleasure of the court on the Dallas Housing Acquisition Corporation, 6 years, also known as the Land Bank, and that is where the city of Dallas has taken certain census tracts on what we call nuisance property, along with our partner, Linebarger, and we've targeted those properties with primarily with nonprofits. And as such, we've along with the Sheriff's Department, we've had some real success putting houses in the pipeline. It's interesting, and I said this not too long ago, is probably for the next 5 years, I think what people are going to be surprised is that the number one builder of homes in the city of Dallas is going to be Habitat.
Absolutely. And we have really, at the Home Loan Counseling Center, our relationship with Habitat predates anything we've done with the Land Board or anything Planning and Development did here. We've had a great working relationship, and we provide all the home ownership counseling for Habitat, Enterprise Foundation, City of Garland, City of Grand Prairie. That's probably our primary purpose. So we've had good relationships.
We had a program when none of the other surrounding cities had a program.
And we're still the only one-stop shop.
Right. And
Great job.
great
Thank
job.
you.
You want to move for adoption of that one? I do. Really? Box of chocolates, man. I forgot that. The last resolution will be read by me. This is a resolution that I hope we will adopt, and also I hope we will work in a aggressive and bipartisan way to seek that every member of our delegation in Austin co-sponsors the House Joint Resolution against unfunded mandates. With that in mind, let me read the resolution. Whereas Dallas County is responsible for the operation and management of many and various governmental programs as required or authorized by state law, and whereas many state officials appropriately oppose unfunded mandates sent down to states from the federal government, whereas the state of Texas, acting through the Texas legislature or through a state agency or executive order, enacts laws or promulgates rules that have the effect of imposing mandatory financial obligations upon Texas counties in the manner that federal mandates obligate the states, and whereas such unfunded mandates or underfunded mandates disproportionately burden local property taxpayers with paying for state programs, resulting in local tax increases and or cutbacks in local programs. Whereas Representative Garnett Coleman, chairman of the House Committee on County Affairs, has been a stalwart and longtime champion in the fight against unfunded mandates, and in the 81st legislature filed House Joint Resolution 84, which proposed a constitutional amendment allowing a state mandate imposed on a county to have effect only if the state provides for payment to the counties of the cost of the mandate. And whereas Representative Bert Solomons has filed House Joint Resolution 56 in the 82nd legislature, a constitutional amendment that would restrict the power of the legislature to mandate requirements upon certain local governments, including counties, cities, hospital districts, community college districts, and special districts created by those entities. And whereas House Joint Resolution 56 states that no bill enacted by the legislature on or after January 1, 2012, requiring a government to establish, expand, or modify a duty or activity that requires the expenditure of revenue by the local government shall be effective until and unless the legislature appropriates or otherwise provides for the payment or reimbursement from a source other than the revenue of the local government of the cost incurred for the biennium by the local government in complying with the requirement. Now, therefore, I'm asking that we recognize that it's in the best interest of Texas counties and their taxpayers to support and favor the passage of House Joint Resolution 56, as well as encouraging all members of the Texas House of Representatives to co-sponsor House Joint Resolution 56, and I would move for the resolution's adoption.
And I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And Judge, I'd like to thank you for taking the leadership role on that, and perhaps even a 5-signature letter can go out with that, with a copy of that resolution to all of our delegation in Dallas County.
Yep.
Great.
I think that's an excellent idea.
I guess, Judge, if Bill, Commissioner Cantrell, where is CUC
We're right on board.
on board?
In fact, we spoke at the press conference on that when Representative Solomons introduced it.
Okay, good.
And Commissioner Cantrell and I already took some photos with Representative Solomons in the hopes that we would pass this.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
We are extremely honored this morning by the presence of several members of the Taiyuan County government from Taiwan who are here with us this morning. Taiyuan County is our sister county, and we look forward to many years of exchanging ideas and fellowship opportunities. Please all come forward. I want to recognize those members. The man directly at the podium is my counterpart in Taiyuan County. The county judge in Taiyuan County is known as the county magistrate, but we have essentially they have the same type of government, and he would be a county judge here. That is Wu Shiyang, also known as John. Who I had the pleasure of having dinner with last night. Also with him is the Director General of Civil Affairs Department, and that is Li Xin Yi. The Director General of Research, Development, and Evaluation Commission, and that is Qin Xing. The Director of Foreign Affairs Committee, and that is Ping Xingxi. Chief of Civil Affairs Department, Xing She Qin. The Chief of Tourism Promotion, Qin Xingfang. Who's there? Over there, all right. Secretary of Magistrate's Office, Sao Te Tao. I see you. The wife, who I also had the pleasure of having dinner with last night, the wife of Magistrate Yu, Hung Su Ha, as well as his 2 lovely daughters and his son. His eldest daughter, Wu Shan Yi, and the next daughter, Wu Shan Hui, and finally his son, Wu Shan Shan, who is somewhere. I don't see him, but he's in there. Okay. I've got some proclamations that I would like to read, but I want to recognize 2 great Taiwanese Americans, one of whom is with us today. And that's Dr. Charles Koo, who is directly to the side of the magistrate. Dr. Koo is the only Taiwanese American who has received the 2 highest awards from Taiwan for persons in another country, and he is a resident right here of our Metroplex. Also, I want to give a shout out to someone who I sat my daughter on my lap this morning and read to her about this young lady, Amy Chiao. And Amy Chiao is not with us today because Amy, but hopefully we'll have Amy come soon and read a proclamation to her. Amy is with the Obamas this morning. It is her 3rd or 4th trip, actually, to the White House. When she was 7, her father took her on a tour. When she was 11, she was a finalist in the Spelling Bee, the National Spelling Bee. When she was 15, she visited after winning a science fair and also finding a way to kill cancer with light rays. And this year, she'll be sitting with First Lady Michelle Obama at the State of the Union address. the reason I mention her and Dr. Koo, other than that they are great Americans and great Taiwanese Americans, is they also embody the strength of the diversity here in the Metroplex and why we are such a great region and the fastest growing region in the country, and through this recession have been the most successful region in this country. And I think that's because of the strength of our diversity of our people. So with that in mind, allow me to read the proclamation. We have a proclamation for...
Judge, before you read the proclamation, can I introduce three also, our Director General, Mr. Joseph Chen from Houston, and then our Deputy Director General, Jason Lai, also from Houston, and then Mr. Weizhan Wang, he's the Director of Chinese Culture Center from Houston. These are three from all the way.
And 1,000 pardons for not recognizing you. The last thing I want to do is forget about saying hello to you, because as you know, we have much work to do on the inland port and the work between our country. So I'm honored by we are honored by your presence here. With that in mind, I'll read the proclamation for the magistrate, and with the exception of the titles and the names, the proclamations are identical. Whereas the cooperative relationship between Dallas County and the Taiwan County government provides for the opportunity for friendly relationships between communities and encourages the continuous economic and cultural developments of both cultures, and whereas the Taiwan community contributes to the ethnic and cultural diversity of Dallas County through its many contributions and accomplishments, and whereas the cooperation between Dallas County and the Taiwan community allows both regions to foster cultural understanding, creating a better place to live and work, and whereas Chief Magistrate for the Taiwan County government, Wu Shiyang, also known as John, comes to Dallas County to enhance a spirit of international cooperation and friendship. Now, therefore, I, Clay Lewis Jenkins, Dallas County Judge, do hereby commend Wu Shiyang for your contributions for furthering relationship between Dallas County and the Taiwan community. And if we can, I would ask, I see these have been made for me, but I would ask that we reprint these also for us all to sign, if we can do that.
If that's a resolution that's before us, even though it's in presentation form, take a motion.
All right, well, I'll move that we adopt.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So you'll get both proclamations and resolutions. Thank you again so much for visiting us here. John, would you like to say anything? Address us?
I'd just like to say thank you to all of you. County Judge Clay Jenkins, Honorable Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good morning. We came from New York, which is where it's very cold here. So we feel very warm here. Not only the weather, but also the reception, hospitality. So we think very the close relationship between County of Dallas and the County of Taoyuan is very important, and we have strong relations with County of Dallas, not only the county, but also the city of Gallant and the city of Grand Prairie. We have special connections with the two cities within Taoyuan counties. And we would like to invite County Judge and the Honorable Commissioners, if you have chance, be sure to visit Taoyuan. It's a very lovely place, and it's the most important airport, international airport. So I think the visit here will be very fruitful this time. And this is my first time to Dallas, and I believe we will have more visits in near futures. Thank you for your warm reception. Thank you very much.
Mr. Yang, if I may say, I have enjoyed the friendship of your country and enjoyed riding the high-speed rail. I pay all the way down to Calhoun, yes. And we got there the whole length of the island in 90 minutes, which is about the distance from Dallas to San Antonio.
There's a stop at Taoyuan.
Yes, and I was very, we didn't go over into the ocean, but I was so impressed with the speed and the friendliness and the efficiency of your high-speed rail, and I just want to tell you how progressive that is, and I do hope that will come to Texas. You're way ahead of us there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
I also want to add, Magistrate, to the delegation, welcome to Dallas County. We are delighted to have you here. And thank you, Judge Jenkins, for presenting this resolution and, of course, the proclamations for all members of the delegation. I also had the opportunity to visit Taiwan when I was representing the city of Dallas and to commemorate the 10-year anniversary with the city of Taipei and Dallas. So it's an honor for me to be here now, as a representative of the county and have this relationship with Taoyuan. I look forward to it. And of course, to my friend, Dr. Charles Koo, thank you for always being here and, continue to connect these relationships with Taiwan. It's really an impressive country. And what can I say? Dr. Koo not only has been my mentor, he was also my examiner when I took the dental board many, many years ago. So since then, I guess, the Lord had put a path for us to be friends for a long, long time. Honorable Council of Houston, as always, it's great to see you here. Thank you for always be part of Dallas County meetings and always being there for all of us. So it's a pleasure to have you all here, and I look forward to continue our relationship, for many, many years. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yep.
Now we will consider our consent agenda, item 9.
I will just mention, before we get to the consent agenda, Sergeant, I know I saw Corporal Hubnitz, that means I got a whole mental health delegation up in here, but what happened is that they, Ron, did you get a chance to tell them that we were going to put... Okay, you didn't get a chance. I see a lot of our behavioral health leadership team came today. We've got an officer sergeant is getting ready, is retiring this week. I at least wanted to come up and acknowledge we'll have a resolution. Sergeant, come just step forward to the podium here. She's been with us 33
Only 33.
years, and I think this coming Friday, she is going to, check it to us.
I'm retiring.
Yeah, and just wanted to say we wanted to acknowledge you and say thank you. We were trying to, run around and get a resolution together. She kind of hit us with it the other day, and we didn't get it. And when I looked up and saw Corporal, and I knew then we had not communicated, Ron. So.
Well, I figured Herd would be here.
Yeah. But been great value in terms of the whole mental health team, and trained a lot of officers and providers around this county and this region, and has basically made the difference in terms of how law enforcement interfaces with the individuals who have behavioral disorders. And so, Sergeant, we just want to say thank you for 30.
Sergeant, I just want to tell you that I appreciate your work on the prostitution diversion initiative, the PDI. I hope you will consider continuing as a volunteer on that. You have such a heart, and you're such a wonderful face of the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you.
You have so much compassion for the people that you deal with, and I think you're very special. And
thank you.
We will miss you here, but I hope to see you again at the PDI.
I'll be there next week.
For those who have come down to be part of the behavioral health leadership team and part of that committee, and can I get you just to stand so that the rest of us can just see who you are? This is part of that delegation that's come down to be a part of it.
it's kind of like I'm leaving home for the first time, you know? Thank you guys for everything. I know, Ms. Dickey, I've worked with you now for almost a year, and Mr. Price, we've always butted heads sometimes, but we always worked it out. Can you imagine that? Herb has been like a brother of everybody. Thank you for everything, and I'll still be around. I'm just not here permanently. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Bye-bye.
We'll now move to our consent agenda.
Move approval.
I want to pull, there's a pay item in there that I need to pull, Burt Barr and Associates. I have did not see that pay item until last evening with the transmission, and I've seen it since. I have not seen any of the backup work product material, and so I have some real concerns. So I'm asking that be pulled from consideration on the consent agenda.
And let's pull that to see if there's necessary documentation so that we can pay it, because this was an expense that the court incurred, and we do owe it if indeed this is well documented correctly.
Well,
It's payment number 120529309 for Barr and Associates, the amount of $14,024.
Yeah. Well, see, that's my concern, $14,000. Yeah, it's an expense, but I want to see $14,000 worth of backup material. If I remember correctly, we didn't go forward on it.
Well, let's do this quickly so we can go forward on it. All right.
All right, well, with that proviso of that one item being pulled, is there I believe there already has been
I made a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and next we turn to item 10, which is our bids and RFP. Is there a motion on the bids and RFP?
Well, before you get to all of that, the annual contract for janitorial service for the Health and Human Services building is on that consent agenda. And I just want to make sure purchase and understand. Let me just tell you, we took the last week. Chris Thompson, are you here? Where are you? This is the complaints. And I've got a real concern. Chris, where are you?
Over there.
I got a real concern with with this whole janitorial contract. The Health and Human Services just happens to be the tip of the iceberg as far as I am concerned. I asked Chris to look at what goes on in Tarrant County with regards to their contracts. Supposedly we've got 5,800,000 square feet. Over half of that is jails, of course. So we've got Tarrant County has 2,600,000 square feet, and we've got about 25% less, but spend 125% more in terms of dollars. And I've asked Chris to make sure, not only with Health and Human Services, we're getting complaints about Crowley and some of the other buildings. And so I want you to understand this whole issue of these contracts are serious. And even though it's on that consent agenda, I've got a real problem that we didn't terminate that contract. And we didn't terminate it for cause, because I thought that was what the court had basically said.
With that in mind, do you want to make a motion? We'll pull it from the consent agenda?
No. I want to keep it on the consent agenda because it's on a queue. I just want to be on the record, Judge. I want to be on the record, and I want Chris on the record with regards to this contract, because we've gone out there almost daily at Health and Human Services. Now, there are some things that we want to do, and I think he'll tell you, they do different in Tarrant County. They got everybody in Tarrant County on hourly wages. And so they keep their workforce during the day on hourly wages. In fact, their hourly wages is almost twice what our
Actually, their contract's based on hours as opposed to square footage.
Yeah.
Ours is.
Yeah.
And they spend considerably more than we do.
Well, we spend 125% more. We spend about $700,000. They're spending way in excess of $1 million. 6 million something. I mean, it's incredible. But Chris, can you in fact keep that 2 million square feet based on how we've redesigned his contract. And I know Ryan, doing budget, we cut, but can we do that and keep these buildings clean?
Well, we both have firsthand knowledge of what happens in these buildings that's above and beyond the janitorial contract.
Right.
Consequently, I've asked our inspectors to look beyond the scope of the contract to identify those areas that are in need of cleaning, identify them to us so that we can take whatever measures are necessary to ensure that our buildings are staying cleaner. Limitations of the contract, if there's items on a desk, items in a bookshelf or something like that, it precludes the janitorial services from dusting or cleaning those services. Just like in areas where there's significant amounts of cable. Janitorial services does not approach those areas because of problems we've had in the past. Consequently, it's inherent upon county employees to maintain their own areas to a certain extent.
Well,
just to begin to accumulate in areas where the janitorial contract can't do it, either identify it to us so that we can do something or clean it.
But you got inspectors, and what's driven this, other than the fact that Mr. Thompson and I, with regards to that health department and an area where urine samples, blood draws, I mean that this is just totally unacceptable. But when you get over to Crowley in the courts building, and that's where the lawyer was complaining. He said Tarrant County, that's what made us go to Tarrant County. He said Tarrant County is totally different than Dallas County. So that's the reason we went on the expedition to Tarrant County. But that courthouse is not where it's supposed to be.
We're in complete agreement, given this particular vendor, that since the start of their contract, the work has been unacceptable.
But this vendor's been around here forever, and this vendor is not new.
This is not, no, sir.
Well,
the contract began the 1st of December, but they were not new to the county.
And probably one of the solutions, if the commissioners approve it, is to base the contract on best value, based on cost and performance. And if you have some of the areas that have fluids that are considered, hazardous, we might have to have a dual agreement in this contract. And I think there's different ways to do this contract and that we can get these buildings cleaned up. I've seen some of the complaints, and I have to tell you, it's not acceptable. Also, we need to be sure that we put a clause, for firing if they're not performing. So I look forward to working with you, and if it's, Commissioner Price, wants me to be involved, I'll be more than happy to do it.
I just want to be on the record and be clear. Purchasing is done what purchasing is supposed to do. I guess when I looked up and saw it and saw I had concerns. I thought we canceled for cause. They tell me, so the record will be clear, the reason we didn't cancel for cause is because this same vendor has some contracts in some other buildings. But I want to be very clear. We have asked purchasing, not only since it's on the consent agenda, to place it on next Tuesday for both briefing and award. And they've got it opening to the point that they're going to have a space holder and they're going to be able to hold it open. I still say, this area, we continue to go, and that's the reason we made them compile this. We made them continue to go to that Health and Human Services Department, and it did, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't know, Mr. Thompson, you can speak for yourself, it did not improve.
Well, the book speaks for itself.
It does.
And I think I've given the Commissioner's Court an update on this for the past 30 days, and I'm exhausted in terms of what our staff have had to deal with. So it's the will of the court, but at the end of the day, we got budget cuts, but we're talking about health and safety of clients and residents who live in our building.
Right. And it's there. I just want to make clear, but it's on for briefing and court order next week.
This is this really is a problem that goes throughout the county. I had a call from one of my JPs, Sandra Ellis, not long ago, and the jurors there had to, up at her court, had to go and clean the restroom before they could use it. And she's been buying the restroom products herself, like the toilet paper and all. And it's just, we can't seem to get any activity there. So would appreciate your looking into that.
Certainly so.
Okay.
And I agree with everything that y'all have said, and I particularly agree that in Zach's situation with public health, it's particularly important. But we should all be mindful, I'm sure we all are, that in a budget cut environment, it may be necessary for a few days for folks to dump their own trash, dust their own desk. I, for one, have been dusting my own desk since I've been here because I've got a lot of paperwork on it. And I'm not asking folks to do anything I'm not doing, but on folks like me that are office workers, we may have to pick up the slack a little bit because it's a tough budget environment.
Yeah, and
not to take anything away from the very serious situation with people doing blood draws.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and the number of individuals that go into that crowd to our public buildings. I mean, we've got a lot of people that are moving through those buildings and sanitation.
Oh, we had a workaround for Health and Human Services.
Right.
Is that not working? Because what you're indicating there is the complaints still kept coming.
Well, no.
When they did the outside and what we were looking at some of the restrooms, I agree on the paper, but here's the deal. As I stated before, some of the restrooms on I-20 truck stops look better than some of the restrooms we dealt with. The issue is the restrooms are compounding the issue right along with the exam area. So we're doing that. We did have an additional order.
So the briefing's going to be on
Monday, we're opening a new bid to go back to a 5-day-a-week service.
For Health and Human Services. Okay.
It's just that transition period to getting that bid open.
So you're not asking Crowley to come?
No, not yet. And I am in the process of assembling a team. Went out yesterday, talked to Ryan about reorganizing a crew to do day work in Crowley.
Through community service.
Right, through community service. Okay. So we're working that out.
Okay.
As well.
And that bid will not expand the money spent to clean our offices or civil judges or JP offices.
It is solely for
HHS.
It does come with an additional cost, but I believe the majority of the coaches felt that was necessary, so we'll see what that cost is.
Good.
It'll be awarded next Tuesday.
That's great.
Okay.
Let's see, that takes us, we are looking at our bids and RFPs. Do I have a motion on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll consider court orders 11 through 41 with a substitute for 19. Is there a motion on the court orders?
Move court order 11 through 41 with a substitute for
19.
Second.
19.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We will now recess for our briefing agenda of items to be considered in a subsequent session. Mr. Martin?
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. We've got a lengthy briefing agenda. We're going to try and get through this. First item is the Texas County District and Retirement System. Amy Bishop, the District Deputy Director for TCDRS, is here. I don't know if Joe Wells has any comments to make before the presentation. Okay.
Your Honor and members of the court, thank you so much for inviting me here today to talk about your retirement plan. My name is Amy Bishop, and I'm the Deputy Director at TCDRS. And today I have with me Tom Harrison, who's our General Counsel, and Christina Acuna, who is your Employer Services Rep. Christina. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the basics of how your plan works, and then I'm going to show you your projected costs and benefits over the next 20 years so that you can have a good feel for what you're providing your employees and how much that's going to cost you. Retirement plans have been in the news a lot lately, so I'm also going to point out areas where your plan is different than what you're hearing about in the headlines.
Great. And the reason they've been in the news is because they're unfunded.
That is true. That is true.
And therefore, with our fixed rate, we're going to be able to stay funded, right?
That is. Well, you'll see here in a minute. I'll show you.
That's our goal.
Yeah, that's right.
I know. I'm putting her on front. Okay, good.
There you go. Okay, on page 2 of the presentation, this is just a little bit about who we are. We were created by the state in 1967, and we serve more than 605 employers across the state. We've got all the counties in the state of Texas except for 2 small ones in the Panhandle. And then we've got over 350 districts. These are water districts, appraisal districts, hospital districts. In fact, Dallas Central Appraisal District is in our plan. Each plan, you maintain your own benefits and you fund those benefits. We do not receive any state funding. Each plan is funded by you as an employer and your employees. And we've got more than 215,000 folks that we serve across the state, members and retirees. This is just an example on page 3 of some of the folks that we serve, nurses, mechanics, the sheriff's office in here this morning, so all sorts of folks that we serve. On page 4, this is just an example of a hypothetical employee, Joe, just to show you how the plan works. Joe is putting in anywhere from 4 to 7% of his pay into the plan. In Dallas County, you've chosen for your employees to put in 7%. That money goes into an account at TCDRS and it earns 7% a year. At the same time that Joe is putting in money, you can see at the bottom, in this case he's working for Bluebonnet County, and Bluebonnet County is also putting in money into the plan. That amount that the county puts in, we look at annually and determine if the amount that you're putting in is enough to fund your employees' benefits over their careers. Once Joe gets ready to retire, whatever's in his account, all the deposits that he's put in over the years and all the interest that he's earned, we take that amount and we match it. And Dallas County currently matches at $2 for every dollar in Joe's account. Then we calculate a lifetime benefit for Joe based on his age, what kind of payout stream he wants, and what the matching amount is. Now, I get 2 questions about this plan design. It's a very unique design. It's not like Employees Retirement System of Texas or teachers or some of the traditional defined benefit plans that you see out there. The first question I get is, well, gosh, this is a savings-based plan and you're paying 7% a year. How are you doing that? We all remember the economic downturn in 2008. I know I'm not earning 7% on my savings, so how are we paying 7%? The thing you have to remember is that we're a really long-term investor. Most people are working for you for 15 to 20 years, and then they're retired for another 20 years. So the important thing we're looking at is that we can make over that 7% over the long term. I've been at TCDRS for a long time, and I can remember back during the tech boom answering the phone, and people would say, Amy, how come you're taking my money from my paycheck and only paying me 7%? I can make 20% in the market. So I think that's real important to remember, that we're looking at the long term, and you'll see our investment results here in just a minute that show that we have exceeded that 7% over the long haul. The second question I get is, well, if the employee's putting in 7% of their pay and we're matching 2 to 1, how come the amount we're putting in is not 14%? Currently, Dallas County is putting in 9.4% of pay. And there are 2 reasons for that. When we project what that number needs to be, only about 1 in 4 of your folks will ever retire and get matching. If you leave the county and take your money out, you don't get any employer matching. The only way you get that is if you take a retirement benefit. The second reason why your rate is not 14% is because over time, as the investment earnings have done better than 7%, you as the employer get the benefit of those earnings over 7%. If you look on page 5, this is just in words an explanation of that picture in case you need them. Page 6 just highlights the fact that we're different from some of the more traditional plans that you see out there. On the left-hand column, you see traditional defined benefit plans. This is like the statewide plans, the Teachers Retirement System and Employees Retirement System. In those plans, the benefit is based on your salary right before you retire, and you get a benefit based on that salary and how long you've worked. One of the headlines you're hearing about right now, especially out in California, is this idea of benefit spiking. And what benefit spiking is that people that work a lot of overtime right before they retire, or they change jobs into a higher paying job right before they retire, it can significantly impact the amount of the retirement benefit. And it's really difficult for employers to plan for that liability. It creates a liability for the employer. In your plan, that can't happen, And the reason why is because the benefit is based on deposits going in that account over the employee's entire career, not just their salary right before retirement. So that's one of the ways your plan is a little bit different. On the right-hand side, you see defined contribution plans. These are like 401k plans or 457 plans. You guys may offer 457, I'm not sure. But these are where an individual puts in money into an account. An employer may or may not match that, and then your retirement benefit is based on how well you do in the market as an individual. Oops, well, it actually worked that time. Because employees are putting in money over their whole career, and because you as an employer are funding those benefits over their career, you get the power of that advanced funding and the power of investment earnings. We've looked at our fund across the whole, and about 76% of our asset growth is coming from investments, about 13% from taxpayers or employers, and about 11% from employees' own pay. So what that means is that when we're paying those checks every month to retirees, about 11% come from employees' pay and 13% from the taxpayer, and the bulk of that's come from investment earnings, which is just an incredible figure. On page 8, these are our investment results. You can see on the left-hand column, our 2009 return was 26.7%. Once again, that's a one-year return. We don't like to look at one-year returns. If you remember 2008, it was a minus 29%. We really want to look at the long term, so you can see the results on the right-hand side. Our 25-year return has been 9.2%, and our 20 years 8%. And just incidentally, if you're curious, we've just had our initial results come in for 2010, and we're going to be a little over 12.5% for 2010.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, it's just nice. One of the other benefits you're getting from pooling with all the other counties and districts across the state is this benefit plan is a really low-cost alternative. Just to give you an example, all the costs for the reps, the website, all the investment management, it's 0.25% on our assets. And typically, if you look at a similar 401k plan or 457 plan, the fees run between 1% and 2%. So it's amazing some of the deals we can get. For example, in our equities are passively invested in index funds, and our fees on those index funds are less than a basis point. I mean, it's just not available to the individual investor, those types of price breaks. On page 9, this is a profile of your average retiree. These are folks that are receiving payments right now as of 12/31/09. Their average age at retirement was 62 years. Their average service at retirement is 20 years. And incidentally, this is a little bit higher in terms of our average across the state. Your folks are staying with you longer than we see at other employers.
The age or the retirement?
How long they're working in terms of years,
okay.
yeah.
You beat the average so far.
Oh, no, I'm beating the average. But in fact, Dr. Taylor, our average workforce age is 44, right? About 45. Okay, 20. Okay.
Our average and most of the folks?
Average, yeah. Total across the board. 45. She said it was 45. Last time I looked at about 44. But 45. And I guess I'm interrupting a little bit. That whole average pay at the retirement is not probably much more than what our majority of our payroll is for our employees. What's the average pay? And
our average pay is about $45,000.
About 45? 56.
Yeah. That third column shows you the payment that the average payment that we're making to your retirees was just $24,800, and we've estimated that to be a little over half of their salary at retirement, so 56%. Now this number, 56%, so most folks are walking out of Dallas County with about half their pay. This is a little bit higher than a number I'm going to show you in a minute for new folks, because in 2003 you reduced your benefit, your matching from 210 to 1 down to 2 to 1. And so in this pool of people getting retirement checks, there are people that retired under a higher benefit level. But I'm going to show you a chart here in a moment for new folks so you can see what that is. On page 10, we've projected for you your retirement benefits over the next 15 years. On the left-hand column, you can see the years. That second column shows the number of retirees we're projecting. It's interesting, when people see these numbers, they think, oh my gosh, my entire workforce is getting ready to go. This includes a number of things. It includes folks that are working for you now and retire. There are also employees that worked for you at one time. They quit their job, but they left their money in the plan, and they're sitting there waiting until they turn age 60 to be able to retire, because they've got enough service to be able to retire eventually. And then we've also included assumptions about people passing away. We've discounted that calculated that using discounting for inflation in the fourth column, so that you can see the real change in your benefits. And you can see your benefits are actually going down from $24,800 down to $23,500 if you're comparing apples to apples. And the reason why is just because you have reduced benefits in 2003.
How do you calculate that workforce, what I call workforce turnover? Because what we're beginning to see, is that while we talk about 20-year employees, that's kind of a bygone era. That's for those of us who've been around here forever. Now, I'm looking at our turnover rate seems to be a little higher. Is that correct, Dr. Taylor? I mean, we're not turning it over any faster.
Not really, but if the economy improves, you'll see that turnover rate will go back to
Where it was. So it's just been the last how many years?
Probably you've seen your turnover rate slow about the last 2 years. That's probably where you've seen the slowest. Because most of the time you're seeing in the county, your largest turnover rate, you really going to see it with your DSOs and juvenile somewhat. But my clerical turnover has dropped substantially. So the last 2 years, probably due to the economy more than anything else, we've seen our turnover rates slow. But a lot of our turnover now is actually coming from retirement. We're seeing a lot of our employees who are retired.
And when we calculate how much Dallas County needs to be paying to fund the plan, we make projections about how many people will stay and retire, how long they'll work, and then each year we look at what actually happened versus our projection, and we'll make adjustments. And every 4 years we do what's called an experience study, and we look at everything that's happened in Dallas County, and we will make changes to the assumptions. So if we see that your turnover is going way down, then we'll change the assumption so that to ensure that you're funding what you need to.
Before you go on, I notice on page 8 your 10-year past investment result was 6.3, but our match is 7. So what was the difference, and how was that made up?
As an employer, you bear the investment risk. Your rate will go up and down. Yes.
I know what the percentage difference was, but how much in real money to real taxpayer dollars, what was the difference? You know?
I don't know in terms of
It's gone from 8 to 9.4 in that period of time. So the employer was matching about 8%, we're now up to 9.4%. So in a simplistic term, you could assume that it was the 1.4 increase in the employer match made it the difference.
No.
It's really too simple to say that completely, but that's approximately what you...
But last year...
And I think you've had two issues. You both had both the investment results, and then also you have gone into a lower termination group.
Ryan, what did we pay last year between to make up between the 8% and the 9.4, which I believe we raised year before last?
Correct, and we stayed at the 9.4 for this year, which was what we did last year because of that 26% return. Prior to that, it was 8%. So really, it was when the investment tanked, which is what pulls down that 10-year average. Then that's where you see that increase in our costs.
And once we get
4%, which should be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $3 million.
So last year, we made up for that differential with about $3 million.
And what I'm interested in, I don't have to have that answer at this meeting, but I want to know over the 10-year period, since we're at 6.3 with a 7% guarantee, how many millions of dollars was that?
The other thing you'll see is once we put in the 12/31/10 results, that number will go up.
Okay.
That number moves from year to year. So.
Right, and I appreciate that. I'm just trying to get a moving target, and is that a you question, is that a Ryan question? Can somebody get with me on what we're spending, I'm please don't read anything into this, I'm just trying to get my head around the numbers, and fellow employees.
Both of us will make a stab at it.
Okay.
Who did that? Let me see who did it.
Thank you.
And would you please get with me sometime this week, too? I would like to kind of go over this to be sure I understand it.
Sure.
I was going to ask you the same thing, so perhaps you could just, unless there's others and we need to post it.
To avoid duplication.
Very good. Oh, we've moved, yeah. Okay, page 11 shows you the estimated benefit for somebody brand new walking in with the 2-to-1 match. You can see down the left-hand column, this is the percentage of their pay that they're expected to have in retirement. And across the bottom, if they work 10, 15, 20, and 25 years and retire at age 65. And you can see for your average 20 years of service, you can expect for a new employee to replace about 52%, so a little bit over half. That red portion just represents the fact that the employee has funded a portion of that benefit, and the blue is the portion funded by Dallas County. Okay, page 12 is a projection of costs for Dallas County. Now, this chart will vary from year to year based on our investment results, and this is through 12/31/09. But the important thing to look at here are trends, and you can see in the next few years or so that cost line going up. That's due to the 2008 investment losses that are still in the pipeline. We don't push those through all at once, or your rate would go way up or way down, so we smooth gains and losses over 10 years. Given the fact that we did have a good year this year, over the 8% target, I would expect your rate, that fixed rate, to hold this next year or really close. I mean, it should be very, very close this year.
Let me ask one question, Ryan. For the two new members on the court, how can you show our cost at the fixed rate versus variable, which the other counties are on? In other words, you should be able to show that we're in a better position.
Yeah, that's fairly simple.
Okay. And if you'll...
There's a percent increase if we ever went to a variable rate plan, what those increases are for the various options. I haven't seen an updated one from them, but I'm sure they have one available.
Well, it might be helpful if you took some of the larger counties with the population base, employee base that we have, and then just show them during the period of time that the stocks did tank.
I think it'd be very, she'll know this off the top of her head. We're at 9.4, and the, let's say, Harris County's at.
Harris just reduced their benefits. They dropped their employee deposit rate, so I'm not sure what their new rate is. I think it's around 9, a little over 9. They were a little over 10.
They were 2.5.
Yeah, they're at 2.25, yeah, and they just reduced it to.
Oh, they're 2.25?
Tarrant County, El Paso, Travis, Barry.
They were over 10, and now they're at, I think, down to 9, but they just reduced their benefits.
But I think that would be good for them to see.
Mm-hmm. And that is the one thing about your plan. If you feel like the costs are too high, you can reduce your benefits. I mean, just so you're aware of that. A lot of the traditional defined benefits, where the benefits are based on a formula at the end of the career, they're very difficult to adjust. You can't, because benefits have been promised at that rate. But in your plan, you can adjust benefits if you lower the matching rate or drop the employee deposit rate. That will adjust benefits moving forward. If you were to do that, it impacts folks that are new more than it does people that have been around and have an account balance that is already being matched at the higher rate. The matching reductions only are on a go-forward basis.